Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. It is Markets in the Morning. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Welcome to Markets in the Morning. Today is Monday, February 12th, 2024. This is Markets in the Morning, where we take a look at the price action of the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market as we get ready to kick off the week. We'll also peek over there at the United States stock market as it gets set to open here in the next 4 minutes, along with looking over there at precious metals like gold and silver, which have been very volatile this morning, along with the US dollar currency index, or the DXY. Of course, we'll peek over there at any type of crypto news that is going on to kick off our day, and any type of financial news that seems important as we start our day off. I hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully people didn't stay up too late or get too rowdy yesterday with a very long Super Bowl that went into overtime, almost a full quarter of overtime happening there. And maybe it was more than a quarter. I don't know. Last night I stayed up and watched it in bed. Normally I don't stay up that late, but I was up watching it. What a game. Which, of course, if you didn't catch it, President Biden threw on his red eyes and said something like, just how we drew it up. And, of course, that sent the internet a buzz on whether or not NFL is rigged with the whole Taylor Swift and Kansas City Chiefs stuff going on over there. Of course, Bitcoiners went straight to saying that it's Bitcoin laser eyes, but it happened just minutes after the end of the Super Bowl game. And then over there, at least on Instagram, he did at least at Chiefs over there. So it was related to the Kansas City Chiefs, where they're poking fun at the fact that everybody has speculated that the Taylor Swift Kansas City Chiefs stuff has been rigged or not. What do you know? They win. So to each their own on what they think it actually is. Yeah, what a weird NFL year for sure. But all right, enough of that. Let's kick off the week as we get ready to start, and the stock market opens up in the next 2 minutes. It'll be a mixed opening over there in the United States stock market, mixed over here in crypto. The Dow looks like it's going to be down 31 points, the S&P down 1.5 points, and the NASDAQ down 10 points. So kind of flat, kind of mixed. We'll see that same thing when we see the stocks open, to see that it's mixed between the stocks as well. Over here in crypto, Bitcoin now at 48,183, sitting right back at that 618 Fibonacci retracement level as we get ready to kick off the week. Total 3, the altcoin market over here. Last week we were talking about what contracting triangles can look like in here, as we still just appear to be creating a contracting triangle in here. Last week we talked about structures of contracting triangles with Elliott wave theory, ABC, 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 ABC. That could have been the completion of that ABC happening in there. So still waiting for this market to produce more in here. We go back and we look at just fibs on the actual range. We did exceed at least the 702 fib, struggling there at that 618 fib right now. We'll see if we can get any more juice or anything, but still just range bound happening over here in the altcoin market, as it's still just stuck in that range. So hopefully we can get something big to talk about. Otherwise, this range still lives on. We'll look at it like on a... There we go. Get it loaded up. There you go. A little bit of more... Look like we're getting a little bit of a green right now as we're getting ready to kick off the day. So we'll see if we can continue that throughout the day. But through all fibs, now on top of 702. We'll see if we can get a range escape at some point throughout this week. As for XRP is still just stuck down in here. Absolutely nothing exciting to say as of yet. A cool thing that has happened, at least with XRP, is if you didn't catch the vote throughout the week on whether or not they should start working towards bringing hooks, right? It was just going to be on side chains, whether bringing it to mainnet. That has been reopened, guys. We have made progress on pushing hard, opening those discussions, and it looks like hooks, which had been side tabled for XRP, which is bringing smart contracts to the XRP ledger. It's being brought back. So fingers crossed we do get something going on with that. So hopefully that does end up happening. As for XRP as well, there is a conference in Australia the 22nd through the 24th, XRP Gold Coast 24, highly focused on devs. I've been in contact with them, guys. I'm going to be speaking at this event. So that's going to be in Australia, the 22nd through the 24th. I put a link down there in the description of this video there for XRP Gold Coast 24. I am going to speak. We're focusing on devs this year, developer activity. It's the main priority for me as my project. I'll be there talking. Okay, there we go. Moving on. XRP stock, Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's see how we're doing now that we actually are open. So NASDAQ opens up negative 28 points. S&P flat. Dow flat. So there you go. Up 0.08 and then down 29 over there. Let's look over here at the actual stocks. Coinbase, ARK, and Ford lead the way. Tesla, Microsoft, Google, and Amazon at the lower bound of the range. Let's look over here at this too. So DXY was popping up this morning at 104.18. I have seen extreme price moves over here in metals happening this morning, at least over there in silver. So gold is still hovering up at the peak of this range up in here. I saw silver up 45 cents this morning, now down 5 cents. Let's look at this thing. What is going on here with silver? Holy guacamole. Okay, big move up all morning for silver, and then boom, all wiped out in just a half a second there happening over here for silver. So volatility over here for metals. I'm going to be writing about that in my newsletter that I'll be publishing later this week. We've been focusing a lot on developer activity, user activity, but occasionally we bounce back and forth there between macro info. Of course, when we know we're looking at how high these things are, what's going on in here, what were signs of tops throughout historical tops. And so we're going to be looking at some of those things in the upcoming newsletter that will be published later this week. As for the NASDAQ does peak above the 4.236 extension, still slightly below on NDQ or NQ1. So we're still about 0.83% here. We're still about a little over 1%, maybe less than 1% here for the Dow Jones. Where did all my stuff go? Here we go. There we go. Still about 1% below the 4.236 extension for the Dow, and still just slightly below what we were in the roaring 20s bubble before things ended up falling apart. Let's see. We are about 1% away from how high the roaring 20s was and 1.39% away from a 4.236 extension on the Dow. Bitcoin, of course, starting the week right back at that 618 retracement level. Everybody, of course, cheering for it to break through. I'm cheering for it to break through. This is just how I play my game. I always anticipate retracements coming back in, but right in here, everybody else is welcome to place their bets and play the game however they want to play it. With Bitcoin, I will sit back and just kind of wait on that to prove itself in there. But we are back at retracement levels, kicking it off at the 618 here for Bitcoin. So looking at the stock market, let's see how we're doing now that we're opened a little bit more. NDQ, NASDAQ now flips into the positive. So it is now up 10 points, Dow down 13, S&P flat. So weird little morning to kick off the day. This week, here we go. This is the Fed funds anticipation for the next meeting. Of course, we are very far away from it, right? But what did he say during the last one? He said that, we want to see more good data. Well, tomorrow we're going to be getting CPI. So that will come in prior to me going live, right? CPI currently sits at 3.3, I believe. I know they did a revision last week. I can't recall if they revised it back down to 3.2 or 3.3. And we'll see if that number ends up dropping even more, getting back to 3 or getting back to 2.9. The anticipation is the next two meetings will end up dropping CPI further, and there's a very decent chance that we actually see consumer price index, consumer price inflation being at below 3, having a 2 on it before we get to this meeting right in here. What did he say? He wants to see more good data. We'll see how that ends up going in there. So still anticipated that the Fed will be paused as that meeting comes up. Rate cuts are still priced in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over the course of the next little over a year in here, but we'll see that'll be the big thing for tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the big CPI day, so get ready for that. Okay. Dow, negative 19, S&P flat, NASDAQ up 8, Here we go now. Coinbase, Nvidia, ARK are leaders. Roblox, Microsoft, Google, and Tesla losers. And Bitcoin back at the 618 retracement. Altcoin market mixed. Total 3 down 0.3%. Total 2 down 0.32%. Others down 0.09%. So others is the entire altcoin market. It just excludes the top 10 by market cap. Otherwise, there you have it. That's what's going on in markets as we kick off today. Let's go ahead and hop on into the news. Stock futures are little changed after S&P 500 closes above 5,000 for the first time. The stock market debate is trapped in the 90s with both bulls and bears drawing comparisons. Super Bowl 2024 ad recap. Musk denies selling Starlink terminals to Russia. Bitcoin, AI, and Magnificent Seven, the emerging ETF trends as industry gathers for big conference. Bloomberg. Europe remembers Trump's tirade against NATO differently. European stocks push higher on coattails of S&P. Diamondback to buy Endeavor for $26 billion in oil mega deal. Pentagon chief Austin in critical care for bladder issue. Economists haven't been this critical of a tight Fed in 13 years. Moving over to Cointelegraph, we'll take a look over here. It doesn't look like there's really anything going on in financial news today. Looking over here at crypto news to get the day going. Crypto.com says big money Formula One UFC deals are paying off as their user base expands. Bitcoin bulls chase after 50K, opening the door for IMX, KAS, TIA, and STX to rally higher. ChatGPT trigger happy with nukes, Sega's 80s AI Tau up 90%. Bitcoin ETFs spark optimism around Ether ETF, but is it realistic? Bitcoin ETFs see high volume. Binance delists Monero, and ARK plans staking Ether. Hodlers Digest. All right, the hot stories are Nigeria urged to regulate cryptocurrency to tackle financial crimes. Scam as a service, new Solana drainers are identified. Six-figure Bitcoin price in 2024? Question mark. Bitcoin analyst says 55K is now worst case. Well, that's just a retracement, isn't it? Bitcoin's market structure beneficial to price. And that's been my thing too. Worst case is a retracement. Bitcoin's market structure beneficial to price post-halving. In inflation-torn Argentina, locals use crypto caves and avoid Bitcoin. What? These crypto caves and avoid Bitcoin. All right. Bitcoin, 48,377. Total 3. Are you getting a little bit of bounce there off of that retracement level? Looks like we're off to a decent start here in crypto as the markets are now getting opened up. We got more green going on over in here. Sui leading the way. XRP still just trying to find its footing and do something in here. Again, there's been some decent news out there for XRP here in the last 24 hours in regards to reopening that. It had to be completely sidelined for hooks and for smart contracts on the XRP ledger, but there's been movement in there. So I'm expecting to be a lot of content created on that this week. I'll be paying attention to that to see what's going on over there. Otherwise, that's how we're kicking off this week. We're still over here in the range here for the altcoin market. However, we are above retracement level, so there's at least a glimmer of hope here to see if we can escape from this range. I do sit there and remain cautiously optimistic while we still are in the range, but being on top of it, a little bit of hope. If we can escape, this thing's probably well on its way, right? So keep your eyes on here. If we get through there, we're probably well on our way to keep on moving upward with the altcoin market here right now. All right, there we go. That's what we're looking at as we get ready to kick off this week. Decent start, a little bit of mix, but it looks like we're kicking off okay now that the stock market is open right now. And again, let's refresh that to see one more look. Coinbase, Nvidia, and ARK leaders. Apple, Microsoft, and Roblox losers. Indexes really flat, like really, really flat opening. That is bizarre. We'll see how the rest of the day goes. Metals all over the place this morning. How is silver? Silver's now back in the positive. Gold at $2,016. There you go. We ran through it very, very quick this morning. Gator had gifted 5 BCB memberships. Thank you very much. And one Gator, I appreciate it, man. You did that before the stream even started. N1 has says, "What's your opinion on Joe Biden posting a picture of himself with laser eyes? I love the show. I'm a longtime follower. Thank you very much." Well, it's not. Bitcoiners want it to be laser eyes, right? If you go check Instagram, it clearly has the @Chiefs. So it was posted just minutes after the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Now I've been saying since week 4 of the NFL, that if the Kansas City Chiefs win the Super Bowl, I'll think that the NFL is rigged. That was in week 4. It hasn't been for the last couple of weeks. People have really like pulled this political narrative into it. I highly think it was, if it is rigged, it just was for the NFL ratings. I don't think it was a political thing at all. But a bunch of people on the internet ran with it lately and have said, "Oh, this is what's going to happen," and then Taylor Swift is going to endorse Joe Biden, and creating these wild theories, right? Which I don't think so, and I think he's poking at that. Also, it probably wasn't him, right? I mean, it's past his bedtime. He had been sleeping for a couple hours, likely already. But it's not for Bitcoiners. It was to poke at that. What do I think of it? I don't know. Is he embracing it and trolling? Maybe. But I don't even think it's his PR team who ended up doing it. So, yeah. So, all right, there we go. Bitcoin at 48,500. So we could take so one thing too is the NASDAQ poking above. So to make sure we have both these correct. Okay, those are good. NASDAQ poking above. That's okay, paying attention to it. But the things to definitely pay attention to is we know we can poke above these, and they typically do, right? So we know this actually happened with both Bitcoin, and it happened with Ethereum up in there. So just kind of remaining cautious still with them. The positive thing about it right now, at least, is that we still haven't gotten any rate cuts yet. And rate cuts are typically the markers of the end. So the longer this thing drags out, the better. So while everybody's screaming and saying they want rate cuts and all that stuff, we've really presented it the market does much better during a pause period. So the longer we're remaining pause, look at the market, it just keeps going on up and up and up. So as we still continue just to sit there, no signs as of yet that things are falling apart. And things to keep eyes on, though, of course, are going to be things like gold and when those rate cuts end up happening, or if some type of black swan happens. We always talk about that magical unicorn fairy dust. Puppet masters pulling the puppet strings, God, or a simulation. You get to these things. We know the Dow hasn't gotten there yet. We know NDQ or NQ futures haven't gotten there yet either. But we're all in that spot, so keeping our eyes open for those narratives. But if we were gonna eliminate the idea of black swan and just kind of use past behavior of where markers came in, it would be things like just rate cuts already coming in there, and we don't have really any markers yet. But we have confluence here with Bitcoin back into these retracements at the same time, so it's certainly a fingernail biting point at this time. I would say the big contradiction to it all. That's the thing I think about. I'm like, okay, so I'm long the altcoin market, but I see these things that are concerning to me, like this and this and this, and but the picture is just different over here, and it's like, well, so there's mixed signals on each of them, right? You have one, you don't have rate cuts yet, and that's going to be I'm going to bet that's going to be the marker at the top. That's going to be when retail is going to be absolutely euphoric, is when a rate cut does come. But that is the marker for the last several of these. So things that haven't happened yet, where was I going with that? The things that look positive in here is this is just clear accumulation, right? This is so crystal clear, typical accumulation, leaving range, sign of strength. this is very positive. Also, the other thing that's positive is we're not doing rate cuts. So those are like the optimistic things. And then at the same time, though, you have the other side of the coin. You have Bitcoin right here. You have the Dow up in here, these things. So you don't have like the confluence of all elements pointing to the same thing. Maybe we get lucky. Maybe it gets through these things, but can't bet on it. This is probably the most nerve-wracking. You've probably seen me on the YouTube channel in a very long time, even in the depths of despair, when the market is screaming, we will never go back to retraces. It's like, yeah, we will. Yeah, we will. We get back here. No, we will never go down. It's like, well, we could. We could. Just being in here right now, a lot of mixes, but like if we had the confluence of every element saying, hey, the sky is ready to fall, S is about to hit the fan, I'd start screaming those things. I see certain things that are concerning. Bitcoin back at the retracements, Dow up here at the levels that we're at right now. But I don't see those same concerns over here. And we haven't started cutting rates right now. So we're kind of in that mix of both of them right now. And maybe that picture becomes clear a whole lot later, where like if Bitcoin is in some type of distribution phase right in here, where it is just going to be something more along the lines of like this, right? Where, we have the initial fall that ends up happening in here, the big initial fall, right? Bounces around, and then head and shoulders is in here, and then it shoots up, and then it just comes back. And then you look back to where did the altcoin market really go nuts in this type of thing? And it really goes nuts through this whole phase right in here. This is where it all went absolutely bonkers and bananas. Then it becomes a whole lot more crystal clear. We're like, aha, the idea, it's very clear. Then we all of a sudden start having rate cuts, right? Enough time elapses, right? This pushes us out into May or something. That's where our time frame takes us for all of this stuff to end up playing out, and it gets really clear. But sometimes in the middle of it, we get a whole lot of noise, and that might just be where we're at right now. But for Bitcoin, for like longing Bitcoin, there's just no way I can long Bitcoin with where it's already at, right? Like, I mean, of course, I still have it's still 8% of my portfolio. It's Bitcoin that I literally got 5.5 years ago. So, it sits there, but like anything added, it's been sold here. Anything here, it's been sold here. It's just a long-term ride or die bag for Bitcoin happening in there. But as for the altcoin market, I definitely just see a completely different picture, and we haven't had rate cuts yet. But we're on edge all year long until something proves otherwise. The thing that would definitely get me super more optimistic on being like, hey, this thing, it's going, and we're gonna go have a whole lot of fun, is a clear break, and then see gold get wrecked. If we saw gold get wrecked, we'd have a lot to talk about. And especially if Bitcoin also gets through retracements, right? If Bitcoin gets through retracements, and if Dow breaks out into 4.236, and if gold gets wrecked, those are all the elements for equity bull. All the elements for equity bull. So that's what we're looking for, but we're not there, right? We're at 4.236 extensions. Gold is hovering near the highs, and Bitcoin's back at retracement. So there's this big decision point in here. There's this big decision point for Bitcoin. There's this big decision for gold. Are you going to hold? Are you going to hold? Are you going to keep holding up high up here? And then there's this big decision point for the Dow. And we've got to get through that phase and get an answer from this market on these things before we can start making thumbnails with my mouth wide open, being like, oh my gosh, dude, it was secret found. Otherwise, we're off to a good start. It looks like we got more green flipping over here in the market. Again, the big thing I'm watching right now is to see if this can escape the range. So it's about watching if the altcoin market is ready to leave this range, or if we are going to continue in this contracting triangle much longer. The thing I like about this was a nice ABC correction happening in here. The thing after ABCs though is that we can go on for quite a while in these ranges and just keep them going until finally we're ready to go for the escape. So they can go on for some time. But the positive thing structurally to have seen in here was A, B, C, and then go, right? What we don't want to see is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because in that circumstance, what are we looking for? A, B, C, and then we look for another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's just not what we have. We have a nice ABC happening in here in a range. So these things are great. Now we're just waiting to see, are we still going to continue being range bound longer, or are we ready to get our way out? Once we get out, if we get a new high here, my thoughts are we're already in the motion, right? And sometimes that's not the case, right? People say, oh, well, of course it says new high. Duh, it's obvious. Well, no, not really, because you could set these new highs and then they turn themselves over really fast. But here's like an example of one right here, right? Like A, B, C works its way back up, but then the range still keeps going a little bit longer, right? So that's very similar, kind of the positioning of where we're at right now, right? A, B, C, back up, right? Back up, right? And then the range still goes on a little bit longer. And so right now we kind of need to get through the top of this range to say we're escaping it. But we've been in here a long time. We've been in here a month and a half. So hopefully that does come in the coming days. All right, there you go. Bitcoin 48,668, more green throughout the market. Stock market, Dow up 15 points now. S&P still flat. NASDAQ still flat. 4 points for the NASDAQ, 1 point for the S&P, 15 points for the Dow. And we're 22 minutes into the market being open. That is absolutely bizarre. That's bizarre for a Monday. So PTW needs to bring in a Red Bull for the spice. I don't even think she's here. I think she's actually at the store. Fred Wright, I've sold all of my alts except XRP as its RSI stock lows compared to other alts. Retrace on Bitcoin to 32K next? Question mark. Are you needing reassurance for selling everything? Yeah, we're at 660 likes. If you guys could hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. So, all right, we ran through everything really fast today. There was no real big monologues for today as markets open up very flat. Bitcoin back at retracement levels, waiting to see something come out. I think the bigger news, at least for XRP people, is that Hooks is back on the board for XRP Ledger, which is smart contracts. This is a thing that XRP has been missing. And that's one of those things that can drive in a tremendous amount of development. Bubbo says, hey, BCB, if you take the fractal for Bitcoin from the 9th of February of 2022 to the 9th of November and put it to this double top right now, it sounds possible, right? 9th of November. Oh, you're talking about right here. Correct. So this is what we talked about last Friday, right? That, let's see, do I have it on here? No, it wasn't on here. It's been deleted. Correct. That if this is a double top happening in here right now, the things to keep an eye on, right? So these are the things to watch for distribution styles from what we've seen recently. And one is gigs up, everything's crashing, everything's crumbling, right? Stock market rejects from 4.236, everything hits the fan, altcoin market gets wrecked, nothing happens, everything crashes and crumbles to zero. would be a circumstance in which we just go down and then keep going down and take out those lows, right? That just means we're crumbling. S is hitting the fan. It's awful. But wouldn't be what wouldn't be that circumstance would be the event that Bitcoin pulls up and then still maintains these lows down in here and then just still continues distribution in here and then rolls over, right? And that still seems plausible. And the reason why it seems plausible is just what this altcoin market is doing right now. This altcoin market is not acting like it's going to crumble, right? That's just not what it is. So we have to think of different distribution styles on Bitcoin. Again, the best one and the one that I will take a million days over and put egg on my face, okay, is if we get through all the retracement levels. That is the number one best case scenario by a mile, right? That would be the holy crud. And then that also opens up the door to where there becomes a whole lot less concern on these retracement levels here, even in the altcoin market, right? That was where a lot of that stuff starts becoming a whole lot less concerning if Bitcoin does that. The challenge is with where we are right now. And unfortunately for a lot of people out there, on Twitter, they cannot wrap their head around that this is an area to be concerned at. This is a third range boundary retracement level, and this is the area to be concerned. If you've watched this channel for a long time, there's been practically no concern fighting the 12Kers, fighting it all to get back here, but then you get back here, and then this is where the concern levels are at. And so figuring out what those distributions are going to look like, this is the big challenge. This is where the big boys play around and trying to figure this out. This is not simple, easy stuff. This is the complicated stuff right in here. Very complicated. And now it's time to say, well, where do we see the signs to say the thing is breaking, right? If it's going to break down like this, right? Where does that happen at? Even in both circumstances, you get a little bit of a threat, right? You get a threat to revisit and a threat to revisit, but then it breaks, right? Revisits, but doesn't. And this is the time, this whole period right in here is where the altcoins go crazy, right? And so that's kind of where we would at. And so the circumstance would be like that right here would be like this, ABC. That's what that would look like, right? And so what we'd be paying attention to is to see if that level can hold in that event. Again, that up, she is here. Here it comes. The beverage has been delivered. So, that's what we're at. We're at a difficult spot for sure. We're at retracement levels, and for those who are newer, like he doesn't know. I saw somebody say that BCB seems to be even confused at this level. There's a reason why in the intro of my channel we get back to the retracement level, and he's like and then breaks through it. Right. This is the critical level of breakout level. Right. This is rejection / breakout level. Getting back to it is the easy part. Getting through it is the hard part. So if we get through it, but you said, and then I become bullish. But you said blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? We got through it. We got back to it and then we get through it. But right here, I can't say in any meaningful way, I think Bitcoin's going to get through. I just can't at all. And I don't see the signs of it doing it. But for those who want I could stroke the bulls. Do they want to have their I can here, I'll do this. I'll do this for the bulls. Okay, it's not for me. It's for you. Here you go. So we have to go back and revisit, what were the challenges of this market, right? Things we got wrong, right? Alt season happening in here, right? Why didn't it come through? And it's because the peak of the market was way back over here. We knew an all-time high would come in, but the true peak of the market was back in here. And so we had to learn that the hard way halfway through. But why did people continuously call for lower lows and for the thing to keep going down beyond here after this? And it's because still they were treating this as the top. And we had to figure out deep into here to say, no, this actually wasn't the top of the market. The top of the market was back here. And I've spent so much time showing that, discussing that, improving it on all the technical levels, on chain levels. This was the peak of the market. And still to this day, I unequivocally believe this was the peak of the market to this day. So for the Bitcoin bulls, how long have you been in here? From the peak of the market. What? Wow. You've been in here a while, right? So I'll give you the hopium that you need. But that's how long you've been in here. So, but you know, of course, not while we're here. You're not going to get the the convicted hopium from me. But there you go. That's how long you've been in here. That's how tough this has been. This is how long this has been. We showed this over there with Doge. I've shown it on Litecoin. Let's see. There's Litecoin. There you go. That's how long this has gone on for, right? This is tough. If you stuck around through the whole thing, this is tough to stick around this long and to be in that, right? Knocking on the door of it. So I am cheering for Bitcoin. I'll cheer for it to get through those retracement levels all day. But, you know, there you go. Here's how long Doge was in there. There you go. Here we go. We're almost there to find out. So there's your daily dose of hopium. All right, Bitcoin 48.7. All right, let me hop into the chat. Sandal says, please no thumbnails with the mouth open. I know. We've made it this far without them. Don't worry, they're not coming. What's your opinion on SNT being delisted from Coinbase? Top 10 div? No kidding. Let's see. Let's go check their thing out. If so, then we need to talk to Santiment and see what the heck is going on. Coinbase SNT. I'm trying to find it. Coinbase assets. We regularly monitor the assets on our exchange to ensure they meet our listing standards. Based on recent reviews, we will suspend trading for SNT. Yeah, that's probably not a good sign. That's probably not a good sign. Might be time to move on from that. And I'm gonna DM. I'm gonna DM Santiment and see what they have to say about that. Right? Because look at Santiment. Santiment. Here's the screener. There it is right there, number 7. So there you have it. I'll ask them about it today. Rena Sock. It's cooling up for another move, but I'd like to see another dip. Buy low, sell high, hold on for dear life. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Maybe you're talking about Bitcoin? I don't know. But thank you very much. It was very generous. Crypto Hammer 26. BCB rents a dunk tank if Bitcoin hits all-time high this year. The kids would love it. Members only stream. Well, it's funny, right? Like we could spend all this time saying, hey, no, we're going back to retracements. Okay, we're here now. No, you idiot. We're going to the moon now. It's just funny how it all works, man. Right? It's weird in this position. It is weird. It's like this is the time for the big victory lap. See, guys, we got there. Yeah, but you're wrong. Okay. Yeah, I'll cheer for it. But anybody should know this at retracement levels. I'm gonna be worry wart. Look at that. We're about to hit 49. Here we go. Crypto Hammer. Oh yeah. Brent's a dunk tank. Stephen Edinburgh asked if we can look at the ADA chart. Let's take a peek. So definitely not acting in any way unique compared to the rest of the market, right? Still just threatening on whether or not if the altcoin market's going to escape. So like if total 3, if they all escape, I think Cardano will right now too. The question is if, like we showed over there on the total altcoin market cap, if there's still going to be another continuation happening in there for the altcoin market, if we're not ready to escape that range just yet, if Cardano has to revisit that level right there at about 38 cents. So if Cardano revisits 38, I'll add to it. If it doesn't, I'll just live with what I do have. But definitely nothing big and unique happening right now related in relation to what's happening with the rest of the market. I mean, it's green today, but it's still just range bound, right? Big areas, on the upward trajectory, right? Really watching out for all these levels here up at about $1.20 to $1.30. And then seeing if it can get more juice and go propelling its way on out of here. Otherwise just the chart in itself doesn't have a whole lot of info on its own. It's really still just following with the rest of the market. And the question is if total can escape. Is the one we were looking at, right? Let's go here. If total 3 can escape from the range, then it seems very unlikely that our Cardano would go revisit that lower area at 38 cents. It would just maintain its current range and go into breakout. Otherwise, there's nothing unique there. We're just waiting to see, is this escaping? This has been going on for over a month. And if we can get our escape out of here, rock and roll. Probably rock and roll for Cardano too. Rodney Oliver. Rudney Oliver. BCB, can you take a look at the Ethereum Classic chart? All right. I'm going to stop right there because we're at that old behavior of the $2 super chats to look at altcoins. We don't want to go there. We don't want to run this thing over. We're at 43 minutes. We will look at Ethereum Classic really fast, but that'll be the last of the altcoin requests that we end up doing. Nothing special about Ethereum Classic, right? Ethereum Classic, I look back on it and I think, it's ironic that this was the out of my rotations, this is the one that ends up going the 4.236 extension, right? When the rotations happened back in here, $7 to $10, boom, it's the one who fires up to 175, unlike a lot of the other rotations, right? And then I look back on that with all the things that I know right now, on how the market behaved in relation to developer activity and user activity and how those things really mattered. a lot of the cases was the case. A lot of the justifications for Ethereum Classic in 2021 were just really remembering how 2017 was, and that this market acts irrational. This market acts dumb many times. You try to make a lot of sense out of it, and it doesn't make much sense. And one of those things that I said that I had realized back in 2017 is that when Ethereum is doing well, for some reason people buy Ethereum Classic thinking it's Ethereum. And that did end up happening, right? So if you're going to go from it on the approach with this asset of like, there's a use case or there's development activity or there's user activity or anything like that, there is none on this asset. It is totally just nothing. It takes, if you've ever tried to send Ethereum Classic, it takes like 12 hours to send. I don't remember how many confirmations it takes, like 10,000 or something. I don't know how many it takes. A lot, and it takes a long time to send this thing if you're trying to send it. So from a functionality standpoint, from a development standpoint, user activity level standpoint, there is none on this thing. And, to have the thought that, if Ethereum takes off, it's going to take off again. I don't know if that'll happen again. But structurally, obviously, bottomed a long time ago, bottomed in June of 2022. It's where we've seen a lot of the bottoms come in, right? It's where we've seen Litecoin's bottom, Ethereum's bottom, XRP's bottom. Tons of bottoms happened in June of 2022. Otherwise, still just continuing to range in here. If it's even looks like it, like the area we were just showing you there for Cardano, what was just asked by Steven, right? It's already hit that here for Ethereum Classic. Otherwise, if it goes into retracements or something, God bless it. God bless it going into retracement levels or something like that. But otherwise, as for the actual chart in itself, I don't know. If you're a trend liner, there you go. You got your little trend lines happening, I guess. I don't know. I hate trend lines. But outside of that, I don't really see anything super spectacular about it to be like really excited about it in general. I mean, it's not like it looks like horrid, like this back test here to this sign of strength phase, that's normal, and then bottoming, like that's normal, but I don't know. I wouldn't say it's like clear as day of it, like where you're at. Like if you think it's going to retrace, well, then you have a long ways to go for the retracement. Like the retracement's around $100. Just will it, right? Like it's betting on something that has no activity at all. You know what I mean? Okay, there we go. The average caveman says, BCB, a while ago you said Bitcoin Cash had an odd situation with the amount of active wallets and little or no dev data. Has that changed? Thanks. Well, I think I still have that page still open, don't I? There you go. There it is. 66.97 thousand daily active addresses. So when you have a 0 on here, I believe that's is that a no data situation? Let's go here. Let's do, let's refresh this page. Okay, so a 0 means no data, right? Who's a big name on here that we don't have data? Let's go to the next page. Right, so should we know we have no. I thought okay, so it like says no data here, but I'm assuming 0 on here also means no data. Yeah, and I think so, because Matic has no development activity, but on here, but when we go to developerreport.com, Polygon has a tremendous amount of developers, which we were writing about in that last newsletter. But as for Bitcoin Cash, yeah, lots of active addresses. Like, So I don't follow Bitcoin Cash often, but like it is one of those weird ones where like if you follow Roger Ver, like in lots of like third world countries and stuff, they do use Bitcoin Cash. It's weird. But who would do daily active addresses 30 days? Here's Bitcoin Cash down here, 66. I don't remember what the number last time was. I can't remember if it was hundreds of thousands or what. But see, like Litecoin, right? Like there's Litecoin with 400,000. Right. So here you go. Here's an example of developer, right? Matic, 329,000, no developer activity. But we do know Matic has a lot of it. So Santiment isn't tracking Matic in here. But does that number sound possible for 329,000? Maybe. Maybe. Right, so here's XRP Ledger, right? 32,000 daily active addresses. I think that's pretty close to what is reported by the XRP guys, right, who track this stuff too on daily active addresses between 20 and 30,000. And they do track dev activity. 9. 9. We're going to fix that this year, guys. There's Arbitrum. Let's see if Arbitrum has moved its way up. That's one I wrote about last newsletter. I wouldn't be surprised if it got into the top 20 pretty soon. $21. 6 points to go to get it into the top 20. Okay, there we go. Nazario Navarro, do you think that XRP in 21 was always meant just for a retrace? Right. That's the same kind of question of being like, if the SEC never sued, would this have ever happened? And we can all speculate one way or another way. But you put Cardano on there too, right? If the SEC didn't sue, would it have gone higher? Would this have never happened? And we can all jump to our own guesses on what it would be. But all it is really that. And I have to accept it's out of my control. It's an answer we'll never know. An answer we will literally never know. This was the moment when Bitcoin was breaking out into its all-time high. It happened like 5 days after Bitcoin broke out into its all-time high after a 3-year-long bear market. Ethereum's going, Cardano's going, the market's going. XRP gets absolutely slammed 5 days after Bitcoin breaks from a multi-year bear. You know, what would the end result be? And it's one thing you can lose sleep over, or, you got to kind of deal with the cards you're dealt with and just keep on going. All right. No way to know the answer. Because it's not like it was for everything, right? It came out to 17 out of the top 100, which when you eliminate like stable coins and things like that, it ended up being 22%. I know 17 of 100 isn't 22%, but when you eliminate stable coins and whatnot, came out to 22% did go into all-time highs. So it's not like things didn't. And so the answer is, would it have in that circumstance? And we just don't know. So nobody just a witness says, I don't think Bitcoin will break 52K. I think it will go sideways in the 50 to 52K for a month. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're here, right? So it's time for the market to prove itself, right? My job coming on here for the last year and a half has been to get us back to here, right? And unwaveringly, right? Otherwise, like, right, we can look back on it and all the things I've said, and you look back and my thoughts on going up here, and even in the depths of despair when people are like, it's never going to happen, we're so screwed, don't you understand? It's like, no, we're going to go back here. It's because it's what I believed. And then we get back here and it's like, okay, so now we're here. I get it. I get it that everybody wants it to go up higher. I get that. And I get it that there's no 12Kers anymore. All the 12Kers have now vanished. You know, like, I hope it does, guys. Like, I hope it does. But, you know, when you're here, there's not a lot to say on an opinion on if it will or if it will not. The opinion can be that we will get back here, but the opinion to get through it is a whole another animal. It's a whole other thing. And so now we're here, and now the market is going to have to prove it. Great news is there's still plenty of room over here. There's still plenty of room on this guy. So now the question becomes, and how we're going to monitor it here on the channel is monitoring, does the distribution structure really show up in here? And especially here's the thing to keep an eye on, right? So like you go back and look in here, and it's really during this phase, these phases right in here, where everything happens. Notice in this move up and this move down, things don't move a whole lot in here. But in this one and this one, that's where all the big moves end up happening in the market. That's where everything really takes off as Bitcoin continues that distribution and it becomes obvious that it's distributing. This is where the market really takes off. And so, you know, and the thing that was difficult about this time of the year is that it wasn't apparent that the market was acting incredibly different than it was in 2017, where the top 10 assets, right? You go back to 2016 and 17, your top 10 assets rampage, you know. I don't know if it's going to have the data in here. But yeah, so it's not going to take us back, right? But like we accumulate the top 10 and we go through here, the top 10 go 70x, you know, 9 out of 10 go rampaging. You get in here, it's not apparent, right? It's only 2 out of every 10 in here, right? So when we go into with this mindset in here, we've spent the last 6 months, newsletters, discussions of development data. We spent almost a year actually talking about development data though, right? Because I went to Consensus in 2023 and then started sharing that stuff about how that developer activity really impacted the stuff. And so they're, you know, watching things. If things hit full extensions, great. That's the time that I'll be pulling plugs on stuff. But being very mindful that if an event like this shows up and we do see this, where this altcoin market is ripping and Bitcoin's in that retracement in there, that this market, only 22% did anything meaningful in 2021. And it's very possible we have a similar circumstance that happens here too. And that there may be stuff that does not go at all. There may be stuff that goes rampaging. But focusing on the really big picture of stuff. If an asset hits an extension, boom, great. There's action to take. If it doesn't, having to know when to cut in here. And so that's just where we're at. All right. Normie's Nerd gifted a BCB membership. Brother, thank you very, very much. Thought I missed something in here. Steven, thank you very much. Lane, bro, are alts ever going to run or no? Says he's, and then dude says, bro, he's off that dopamine high. Ah. There you go. Or alts gonna run. Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like people don't realize there have been alts that have been running. How many people have been shilling coins, right? All over the place, right? These are things that are happening, right? These are things that are happening. So the market is moving, just whether or not every individual thing is the big difference, right? And not only that, like you look over there at others dominance, right? It's been really moving since June, and I look forward to looking back on this. That we get to look back on it, like if the market gets moving, what you're going to see people say, "Ha! It's finally alt season," and we're going to be like, "Well, you do realize it started a long time ago, right?" Like you do realize it started a long time ago, and like that's what it would take, right? And so that's how you have to realize how late the market really usually is, how late participants really are in general. Is that if you had a move like this, people would be saying it's finally alt season, and then you have to go back and ask yourself, is it finally alt season because you see big green candles, or has it been alt season for a long time? And you're just now seeing it, because that's usually how it works. It's usually how it goes. Ed the Metalhead says, happy birthday, BCB. Also, when Moon and when Bull Stroking stream asking for a friend. Thank you very much. And thank you, Steven. I think I got you, Steven, but thank you, man. So there you go. Off to a start, almost at 49K over here for Bitcoin. We're shifting more into the green over here in crypto. XRP now back at 52.5 cents. Stock market, how are you doing? Stock market still very flat. The Dow's up 23 points. The S&P is up 1 point, and the Nasdaq is down 3. Very bizarre morning. Bizarre over here in metals as well. It's just been weird over here for silver. Silver had a strong morning, followed by a rip back down to the downside. Looks like it's bounced a little bit. We'll go ahead and start going through wrap-ups, but tomorrow is going to be CPI day. So tomorrow is going to be inflation day, and it's anticipated that we should see a drift down a little bit over there in the year-over-year figures. But really, we'll still have one more CPI print before we get to this thing. And the question is, can we have a 2 handle there on the front of CPI before we get to the Fed? And is that going to convince them to get ready to do a cut? Otherwise, as we still sit here in the pause period, it's historically a good time for the market. We're still continuing to do all right. Now it's just whether or not the altcoin market can break from this range. So those are things we're watching for right now to see if we have enough juice to escape from this range or if we're going to continue further. I get it. Everybody wants to see trending behavior. We're just in a range. The range has to be escaped from. So hopefully that happens here this week. Otherwise, we kind of just have to just wait it out. I know it's not what most people want to hear. They want to hear trend, and they want to hear trend now. And if you don't realize that, that is why there is so much YouTube content tailored towards telling you we're going to the moon right now. But we're in a range. So, all right, there you have it. $49,000 for Bitcoin as we're in the retracement levels, waiting for the altcoin market to escape. Stock market indexes, at least the Dow and the Nasdaq futures, still slightly below that 4.236. Well, we did have the Nasdaq poke above it on last Friday. Ethereum is taking a little bit of a pop there. Ethereum at 25.30. There we go. Eric coming in at the last second. Thank you, sir. But otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Again, check out the XRP Gold Coast event. I'll be speaking with this event right here in Australia in March. Check out bcbacker.com for the most glorious 40 videos of your life. I don't know. 11 hours of content from me if you'd like to check it out over here. Teaching you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro. Teaching you all about different stuff like Wyckoff method, Wyckoff accumulation. Those things we're always talking about in here. There's a method to this madness. This is not made up stuff. This is very normal accumulation and distribution structures that happen in here. Talking about Elliott wave theory, the ABCs that we've been talking about in there while we sit here in this range, this contracting range. And then, of course, teaching you about historical behavior of the cryptocurrency market, how the market has behaved in the past, and all those different elements between alts and Bitcoin and stock market, and really tying it all together. If you just come onto Twitter and you say, hey, dude with NFT image, tell me what to buy, good luck. Might be better to have a little bit of an understanding of how this market works. I also teach you other stuff in here, why percentages matter so much over Bitcoin. It's why you notice there's no concern of me over here on Bitcoin while the FOMO is real. That's because I took Bitcoin up 200%, and it just doesn't matter to me what happens in here in these percentages, because the percentages aren't very much. The bulk of the move was to get to there. Now it's just to see how the market's going to react here into these retracements. And then after that, hey, by all means, we'll figure stuff out from there. But right in here, it doesn't matter. Why? Because percentages matter more than price, right? You see all the bull run calls out there. Bitcoin to 100K, Bitcoin to 115K. Wow, a whole bull run to get 100%. Doesn't matter because people focus on the round numbers. So something to think about. There's also an importance of tokenomics and the market caps, crowd behavior, emotional management, and then there's downloadable PDFs in there. All available for $39 one time, no subscription fees, right here on bcbacker.com. And of course, check out my newsletter. This has become my favorite thing to do. I do also audio record this thing over here. So while you read along with these things, you can listen to the silky smooth voice of me as I read it and explain the different images and charts in there. And this is available over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. Link in the description of this live stream and all of my videos and live streams. And I just posted the link over there in the chat. Otherwise, guys, I wish you all an absolutely wonderful day. Bitcoin at 49K. Keep our eyes on it. Check on that stock market. Keep biting those fingernails. We'll see how things go, and I'll check in with you soon. Otherwise, guys, that's it for this one. I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you could, please like this live stream and give it a thumbs up. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor, but if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.